Erev Tov Rabotai, we are continuing with our Mishna Yomi, Masechet Batra. We are up to Perek Bet, Mishna Zayin. Today's Mishnayot should be Le'elui Nishmat, Neria Ben Svetlana, Ranbayev Eliyahu Ben Burcha Israelov, Chana Ben Miriam, Sason Ben Ryan, Yoshua Ben Shifra, Menuchatam Began Eden, Amen, and Avde Ben Chaim Lechaim, V'terefua Shelemav, Daniel Shalom Ben Rosa, V'tor Shah Chulei Yisrael, and Dachlama Merav, Binyamin, Or Tzion Chai Ben Dvorah. The Mishnah returns to the main topic of the chapter, items that must be distanced from the property of others so they do not cause damage. This Mishnah discusses a case where the items being distanced, trees, are not causing any tangible damage. Nevertheless, they are distanced because they take away from the beauty of public property. Marchikin et ha'elan min ha'ir 25 ama. We must distance a tree 25 amot from the entrance to a city. It was customary to leave an open area at the entrance to a city to enhance its beauty. The presence of any trees in that area would spoil its appearance. Therefore, it is forbidden to plant trees there, and if there are trees there, they are removed. This law applies specifically to cities in Eretz Yisrael that were governed by the Jewish people. Ubecharuv, ubashikma, 50 ama, and in the case of a carob or a sycamore tree, they are removed even if they are as far as 50 amot from the city's entrance. Such trees were very large and had numerous branches, so they spoiled the appearance of a city's entrance unless they are at least 50 amot away from it. A second Tana rules more stringently. Abba Shaul says, Kol yan srak 50 ama. Every shade tree, meaning any tree that does not bear fruit, must be distanced 50 amot from the city entrance. According to Abba Shaul, any non-fruit-bearing tree takes away from the beauty of the city if it is within 50 amot of the entrance and may be removed. A tree within the specified distance, 25 or 50 amot, is removed even if the tree was planted there before the city was built. The Mishnah discusses when the owner of the tree is entitled to be paid for his loss. If the city was built before the tree was planted, we cut down the tree and we do not pay money to its owner. Since the owner planted it in violation of the law, he is not entitled to be paid when the tree is removed. But if the tree was planted before the city was built, we still cut down the tree, but we pay money to its owner for he did nothing wrong. The tree must be removed because its presence is harming the city. However, since the owner planted it permissibly for the city had not yet been built at that time, the residents of the city must pay him for it. However, we allowed the residents to remove the tree before paying the owner because if the money would have to be collected first, nobody would be willing to undertake the responsibility of collecting it, and as a result, the tree would remain and the beauty of the city would suffer. Once the tree is cut down, however, the owner of the tree will surely come to collect the money he is owed. Safek ze kadam, if it is unknown whether this one was first or that one was first, meaning we do not know whether the tree was planted before the city was built or afterward, we cut down the tree and we do not pay money to its owner. The tree is cut down because the owner has no right to leave it there, even if it was planted permissibly as the Mishnah taught. As far as compensation is concerned, the owner of the tree is told, bring proof that the tree was planted before the city was built, and then you can take the money to which you are entitled. This is in accordance with the general principle that the burden of proof rests upon the one who wishes to take money from his fellow. And that is that of Mishnah Zayin. Mishnah Chet names another thing that must be distanced 50 amot from a city and from the property of other people. Marchikin goren kavua min ha'ir 50 ama. We distance a large threshing floor 50 amot from the nearest city. Now, a permanent threshing floor is one that contains a pile of grain large enough to be winnowed through the use of pitchforks or winnowing shovels. The threshed grain is tossed into the air, and the wind blows away the husks and chaff, while the heavier grain falls back onto the threshing floor. If the pile is small enough that shovels or pitchforks are not used, rather the wind carries the chaff away from the pile as it lies in the ground, the threshing floor is not considered permanent. But if it is a large threshing floor, we distance it 50 amot from the nearest city, so that the chaff of the threshed grain, which is blown about by the wind during winnowing, will not enter the city and cause damage to the people there by blowing into people's eyes or the like. The wind will not carry the chaff farther than 50 amot from the threshing floor. Now, if the threshing floor is not a permanent one, this distancing is not required because the amount of chaff that is blown about is small and will not travel far. Now, although the chaff is being carried by the wind, the person who throws the mixture of grain and chaff up into the wind is considered to be directly damaging the residents of the city. The Mishnah teaches that one must also prevent this chaff from damaging his neighbor's fields. Lo ya'aseh adam goren kavua b'toch shelo. Also, a person may not set up a permanent threshing floor within his own property, unless he has 50 amot of open space surrounding it on all sides. Now, when we say here for, it's not a new law, it's an explanation of the previous one. For he thereby keeps the chaff of his threshing floor away from the plantings of his neighbor and from his plowed field. This refers to a field that has been plowed after the harvest in order to kill the weeds and grasses that have grown there since the harvest. Even such a field which has no crops growing in it can be damaged by chaff, and that's one of the reasons a person may not set up a permanent threshing floor within his own property unless he has 50 amot of open space surrounding it on all sides. And Kedesh lo yazik, the Mishnah says, so that it will not be able to damage them. So again, by distancing it 50 amot of having 50 amot of open space surrounding it on all sides, he thereby keeps the chaff of his threshing floor away from the plantings of his neighbor and from his plowed field. Kedesh lo yazik, so that it will not be able to damage them. A permanent threshing floor must be distanced 50 amot from a neighbor's fields, because the chaff can damage the neighbor's young plants by causing them to dry out, and it can damage his plowed field by over-fertilizing the land, which will be harmful to the crop that will eventually be planted there. And that is the Rabotai of today's Mishna Yomi. Baruch Adonai Le'olam. Amen v'amen.